Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Ethereum just confirmed a new bullish breakout, while Bitcoin is getting much closer towards a breakout from this new pattern, which I'll talk about in just a moment, so definitely stick around. First of all, just giving you a quick update here on the weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now the price of Bitcoin is still trading in between this area of resistance, sitting in between around 36,000 to 38,000. But obviously, despite the fact that the price of Bitcoin is still running into this important resistance and somewhat struggling here in the short term, we are still technically within the much larger bullish trend here on the weekly time frame. And as for the next significant level of resistance to the upside, if we first confirm a breakout above 38,000, then in that case, the next important resistance on the weekly time frame is sitting at around 42,000. But if you're zooming into the daily Bitcoin chart, of course, right now we still technically have a bearish divergence here on the daily time frame. But like I've been saying recently on the channel, it's unlikely this bearish divergence will result in a much larger pullback, because right now the DXY or US dollar index, at least as of recent, has been dumping, and so that's been a bullish signal for Bitcoin, which has basically been counteracting this bearish divergence here for the price of Bitcoin, which is why we've been seeing a lot of choppy sideways price action over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so, which is one of the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And so at least while this bearish divergence remains active, once again, at least in the somewhat short term here on the daily time frame, that's mostly what I am expecting, mostly choppy sideways price action. But believe it or not, even in choppy sideways price action just like this, you can actually make a lot of money very easily in crypto in price action just like that. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, and of course right now the price of Bitcoin is still technically within this short-term bullish trend, this ascending parallel channel. And right now this ascending line of support is sitting at approximately 35.9k. This center line is sitting at around 37.2k, and this ascending line of resistance is sitting at approximately 38.6k. And now if you're taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin RSI, once again, as of recent, over the last 1 week or so, we have seen a divergence between the RSI and the price action. And so like I've been saying, over the last 1 week or so, just in the short term, this is basically telling us that the short-term bullish trend has been losing momentum, which once again is one of the reasons as to why we've seen a lot of choppy sideways price action over the last 1 week or so, as expected. But remember, a short-term bearish trend will not actually confirm until at the very least we see a break below this line of support, which obviously as of right now has not yet happened. And in fact, if you're looking at that 8-hour Bitcoin RSI, this is getting very close to a potential breakout above that line of resistance. And of course, if that happens, that could potentially end the divergence here on the 8-hour time frame. Because obviously, if the RSI begins to break out to the upside and starts trending back to the upside alongside the price, then if the price and the RSI are trending in the same direction, obviously they're no longer diverging. And so that potential breakout signal coming soon here in the 8-hour Bitcoin RSI could be a signal basically confirming the resumption of bullish momentum again here on the 8-hour Bitcoin chart. And now, while the price of Bitcoin is basically chopping around sideways here in the short term, if you're zooming into the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, we are potentially forming a new pattern, an ascending triangle pattern. Because once again, we still have that ascending line of support sitting at around 35.9k to 36k approximately. And we also have this short-term area of resistance sitting in between around 37.6k to around 38k. And so basically $38,000 is the level to break in order to flip much more bullish again here in the short term, rather than just expecting some choppy sideways price action. And now obviously this price structure here overall is more bullish than bearish, because first of all, an ascending triangle pattern by itself is known as a bullish pattern. And of course, the price structure itself, once again, is bullish, because if you're looking at the highs, we're seeing horizontal highs, which means selling pressure is remaining the same, while the lows are obviously in a higher low formation, meaning there's an increase in a buying pressure, there's an increase in demand, while the sellers are remaining the same. And so obviously, if this continues, if demand continues to increase, we continue to see these higher lows, while the sellers become exhausted at these levels, basically begin to run out of Bitcoin Bitcoin to sell, then ultimately, of course, that could confirm a breakout above resistance, because once again, this is known as a bullish pattern, which means statistically it is more likely to break out to the upside than to the downside. But it's not impossible to break to the downside, it's just that's the less likely scenario. And as for the technical price targets for this pattern, if we see a confirmed breakout to the downside, a confirmed break to the downside, that would set up a price target at around 33.2k. But on the flip side, if we actually see a confirmed breakout above $38,000, that would set up a price target at around 41.2k. And so from the point of the breakout from 38,000 to that price target, we're talking around approximately an 8% move to the upside in the price of Bitcoin if we first confirm a breakout above 38,000. And now, if you want to know where you can take these trades, where you can enter long positions to the upside or short positions to the downside, if we actually see that scenario play out, then personally, I trade over on Bybit in these situations, these breakout trades to the upside or to the downside. And I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And in fact, if you use that link down below to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus. But without using that link down below this video, you can only get around a $400 bonus. And so you might as well use that link if you want to trade over on Bybit. But unfortunately, there's some countries around the world where you may not be able to access Bybit in due to regulations and things like that. And so if that's the case, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you do not need KYC. And I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, deposit $100 worth of crypto or more and make one trade on Bitflex, then you can get a 10 USDT bonus, which you can actually withdraw. And so essentially that's basically a free 10% return on a $100 deposit. And so if you're going to trade crypto anyway, you might as well check out those links down below this video for those extra bonuses. And what's interesting is if you're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we actually have a decent amount of liquidations sitting right at around $38,000. And as you can see here in the Bitcoin liquidations heat map, we actually saw a quick move to the downside a couple of days ago now, of course, which did liquidate some positions around those prices just before we bounce back to the upside. And the price moved pretty much exactly towards this area of liquidations, but we have not yet liquidated all of those positions. And so basically there's a lot of positions waiting to be liquidated, a lot of liquidity sitting at around $38,000. And so essentially what this means is that can act as a resistance, but at the same time, it's basically attracting the price of Bitcoin towards around $38,000. And so once again, 38K is definitely a significant level on the chart, at least in the short term, which means if we break out above that level, that is where we could flip much more bullish again in the short term. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the weekly ETH to US dollar chart, and right now the price of ETH is still running into this major area of resistance, sitting in between around $2,000 to $2,150. And so for the price of ETH on the weekly time frame, of course, $2,150 is the level to break, and obviously as of right now, the price of ETH is still forming a giant ascending triangle pattern. And once again, as I explained earlier, this is bullish price structure and known as a bullish pattern, but overall on the larger time frames, we're still looking more bullish than bearish. And if you're zooming into the daily ETH to US dollar chart, obviously, as I've said over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so, the daily Ethereum price oscillators have been looking somewhat neutral more recently, basically showing less momentum on the chart. And so like I've been saying, over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so, we're most likely going to see a lot of choppy sideways price action here in the short term on the daily time frame, which obviously as of right now has been playing out as expected. And at least for now, while these price oscillators are still showing those similar signals, basically showing reduced momentum on the chart, it's likely this choppy sideways price action could continue for a little bit longer just in the short term here. And as for support and resistance, we do have this level of support at around 1.9k, just above 1.9k, but below that level, we have more support at around 1830 and more support in between around 1730 to 1750. And as for resistance, once again, we have this resistance based on this previous high on the daily time frame, sitting in between around 2120 to 2150. And if you're zooming into the 8-hour ETH to US dollar chart, obviously we still technically have a hidden bullish divergence which is active on the chart. And so like I said, all the way back down here, this means we're likely going to see potentially a bit of a bullish relief in the short term, which so far is still active and playing out. And also on the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, we have a descending broadening wedge pattern, which is also another short-term bullish pattern. And over the last 1 day, we have now confirmed a breakout finally above this descending line of resistance, which was sitting at around 2030. And obviously we've seen multiple candle closes now above 2030. And so essentially this breakout to the upside would only now invalidate if we see a confirmed break back below 2030 or 2020, which is where the line is sitting at right now. And as for the technical price targets for this pattern, we have an initial price target at the top of this wedge, which is sitting at around 2130. And other than that, we also have a secondary price target for this descending broadening wedge pattern, and that higher price target is sitting at around 2260. And so essentially from where we are right now as of recording this video to the first price target, that's around a 3.5% move to the upside, and to the second price target, that's nearly a 10% move to the upside from where we are right now. And just a couple of days ago, I did actually go into a little bit more detail about a trading strategy regarding this breakout right here. And so far, if you enter the trade at around this breakout, you are in profits as of right now in a long position. And now, technically speaking, with the price only just above the point of the breakout, the risk to reward ratio for this specific trade is still pretty good, because essentially the size of the move in the price of ETH back to the point of invalidation compared to the potential size of the move up towards the secondary price targets is pretty small risk compared to the potential reward. So of course, there's no such thing as zero risk. There is always some risk involved, but obviously the aim of the game is to try and reduce risk as much as possible, limit the risk while keeping the upwards potential wide open. And so right now we are potentially still in a situation where it could make sense to long the price of ETH, but that is not personal financial advice. That's just simply talking about a risk strategy. And once again, I went into more detail about a trading strategy around this breakout around 2 videos ago here on the channel. So if you want to know more about this, then check out my last couple of videos here on the channel. And just giving a quick update on that previous potential head and shoulders pattern here on the 4-hour Solana to US dollar chart. Obviously, what we have seen over the last 1 day is actually a breakout back above this previous line of support, which was sitting at around $56 approximately. And once again, like I said in my last video, if we see a confirmed breakout above $56, which means candle closes back above $56, that will invalidate the break to the downside and invalidate this pattern. And so obviously now that we have seen multiple candle closes above $56, above that point of invalidation, that means this pattern is no longer active. But either way, if you want to know how to make money in crypto, no matter if the price is going to the upside, to the downside, or simply chopping around sideways like the prices are on the daily time frame, then check out these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is bullish or bearish using AI, and the video in the bottom left is the video you should watch because that shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.